Peace 107.5 FM, the air of success.
We are in the 5 o'clock hour, and if it's 5 o'clock, it's hard copy. Hard Copy is a presentation of the McKinney Media Group, copyrights 2015, all rights are reserved. The views, statements, and opinions of guests expressed on this show does not necessarily reflect the views of the hosts, sponsors, or operators of this radio station. No part of this program may be copied or reproduced in full or in part without the expressed written consent of the producers. Hard Copy. This is Hard Copy on the McKinney Broadcasting Radio Network. Hard Copy, as you know, seeks to lay out the facts in simple fashion for the inclusion of all Bahamians and Bahamians at heart. The focus every day to move forthright in our manner to build a progressive and developing country. Our desire is for a Bahamas with a competent, skillful, and productive workforce. We want a country that can feed and sustain itself. We want a country with a brilliant, visionary action plan that's ready to embrace a future of hope and prosperity. We encourage like-minded Bahamians just like you to participate with intelligent and honest contributions. After all, my friends, we have a country to build. We've got jobs and industry to create, a people to inspire and empower. And generations of born and unborn Bahamians, we the people must protect and plan for. And if not you, then who? If not now, then when? Today on Hard Copy, reversing our reality. That's the topic today, reversing our reality.
When I fly with Sky. Sky Bahamas. When I fly with Sky. Sky Bahamas. The plane them spanking clean. The pilots their voice red. They fly you out on time. They flight attendants red. Service is their passion. With you they take good care. Safety is their culture. Yes, they'll get you there. When I fly.
Fly with us to Fort Lauderdale or the beautiful Bahama Islands. Book today at 702-2600 or visit our website at skybahamas.net and experience Sky.
Are you a holder of a bachelor's degree? Are you in the job market looking for employment? Listen up. The Department of Labor is urging Bahamians with a bachelor's degree in any and all professions to move now and register with the department at its Clarence Bean Building or Robinson Road office or any of the family of islands. Don't hesitate. Bachelor's degree holders, register today without delay, whether you are employed or unemployed. For more information, contact the Department of Labor at 302-2550 or 302-2562.
At Ron's Electric Motors, they repair and rewind all major brands of electric motors, including water pumps, generators, and the generator's back end, welding machines, electric lifts, air compressors, battery chargers, and more. They're equipped to handle up to 850 kilowatts and rewind up to 450 horsepower motors. They're conveniently located on the corner of Wolf and Clarence Roads and are open weekdays 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays till noon. They offer 24 hours emergency assistance. You can reach them at 242-356-0249.
Oh, I love my island. Oh, my island made. Oh, I love my island. My island made. Oh, I love my island.
Island Made, locally produced products here in the Bahamas and available for purchase. For more information about our products, give us a call at 362-1102 or 362-1113. Island Made brands located in the Bacardi plants, encouraging you to buy Bahamian and support local entrepreneurship.
My island made. We got in the club, that's my island made.
At Henry F. Store Electric Company, we supply all your electric needs for any size project, from residential housing to luxury hotels. We can help you achieve just the right look, from doorbells to chandeliers, table lamps to ceiling fans, wire, conduit, panels, dimmers, switches, plugs, and even tools. And don't forget light bulbs. We have those hard-to-find, energy-saving fluorescent bulbs and more. Henry F. Store Electric, number 135 Matthew Street. Over 50 years of reliability, service, and low prices. We also ship to the Family Islands.
5 o'clock, the road rock, horse and carriage gently. People around the radio, they want to listen to Steve McKinney on hard coffee, hard coffee, hard coffee with Steve McKinney. A man of conviction, Bahamian to the bone, a voice of the people, so call him on your phone. Hard coffee, hard coffee, hard coffee with Steve McKinney. Da 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 da, da 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 da, da 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 da. Hard coffee with Steve McKinney.
It is Wednesday, the 27th day of the month of May. Just like that, May goes marching out. As you battle the congested city streets and drive home traffic, we have a mix of sun and clouds this afternoon. 82 degrees right now in the nation's capital. The low dips off to 75 tonight, and there's a 0% chance of rain in the forecast. Thank you so much for joining us on the drive home. I'm Steve McKinney. This is Hard Copy. We're brought to you today by Bank of the Bahamas, the Bank of Solutions, BTC Every Day, the new Samsung S6. They're here, and have you gotten yours yet? Super Value, the Bahamian Supermarkets, the McKinney Media Group for effective PR concepts and advertisement. Allen May Products, made especially for you. The Ministry of Tourism, the Department of Labor, Bachelor's Degree Notice. Advantage Insurance and Broker, 61 Collins Avenue. Super Wash with 11 locations open 24/7. Ron's Electric Motors, they can fix anything. Sky Bahamas, professionals in every way, every day. Colina Financial Advisors Limited, CFAR. Executive Printers for laser check printing. Henry F. Store, the light people on Mackey Street. And Le Bleu Ultra Pure Drinking Water, the official water of Hard Copy. Today on the show, we're talking any number of things here, and certainly I want to tell you that our show is entitled today, Reversing Our Reality. You're going to hear this because it's on a lot of on the immigration situation in our country. And you can call Hot Copy at 325-0235 or 6. Blackberry 376-9234. Go to the cable top box at 970 on your arrive home. When you arrive home, you can go to the iPad, iPhone, any Android for TuneIn Radio to hear us there, and follow us on Facebook, Hard Copy, and on Twitter, Hard Copy Bahamas. We welcome you to the show. We're happy that you can join us today because lots of things are going on. Now, let me just, before I get into the main meat of my topic today and ask you to participate, the Prime Minister made his budget communication today in the Parliament, and he talked about a lot of things. One of the things he talked about was the fact that the GFS deficit this fiscal year is now estimated at $198 million as compared to $539 million deficit that resulted from the fiscal structure that the government of the Bahamas inherited in 2012-2013. And he notes that this is a reduction in the deficit of $342 million. So that's an achievement as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. He says that the budget, he told the Speaker, the budget is faithful to the reform plan for a stronger Bahamas, and that his government has been pursuing this idea since their particular mandate began in 2012. He says the plan of the government is working. He says this particular budget builds further on that plan for the kind of reform that he's talking about. Now, he's mostly talking from an economic, fiscal point of view, a financial point of view. He's not talking so much about some other areas that we will dabble into sometime tomorrow, because we will be able to dissect all that he has spoken about by then. It's a lengthy communication. It's quite interesting. One of the things that stands out as something that has not been tackled in his opening of the budget by making this communique before the budget debate really begins, and maybe he'll address it then, there's nothing on immigration in this thing. There's nothing, no kind of ideas of reform for immigration or illegal migration to the Bahamas. And I suppose the Prime Minister, as the Minister of Finance, is more caught up right now with trying to grow the economy. But I want to say that as we talk about where we are today, we have to reverse our reality, because the reality is that this economy, friends, cannot really grow at the levels that the financial minister, the Prime Minister, is looking for it to grow unless we tackle this vexing problem of immigration. Why do I say that? And why do I say that in his outline today there was no mention of it? I say that because the truth is There are remittances out of the Bahamas from those who are here from an illegal point of view, especially those from down south, the Republic of Haiti, in the millions of dollars per year. Now, this is money that's leaving our country to go someplace else. And it doesn't build our country if the monies are leaving here in such large numbers. And so if you look at that from a point of view of what the reforms should be or could help with the reform, because I don't want to, to usurp the authority of the prime minister. That would be foolish. I don't want to do that. I'm saying, though, this is a point of interest. If we're looking at the illegal migration problem the full way that we should, in the full context, we have to appreciate that a lot of monies are leaving our country that's draining on our economy. Am I right? It's draining the economy. So to build and to reform the economy from a financial point of view, we must tackle the immigration matter, and it has to have significant focus in this particular budget debate because all of the monies that's leaving. Now, see, a lot of that monies that are leaving because of the amount of illegals who are in the Bahamas, especially from the Republic of Haiti. Not that you're picking on them. This is the reality. High remittances of monies that's leaving. That means if that money was staying here in our economy, circulating, we may have a better situation. So we cannot ignore it. We have to address it. But there's been nothing mentioned in today's communication from the Prime Minister, perhaps because immigration may not be a number one priority for the government of the Bahamas. That may be a number one priority for you and me and countless others who are concerned about our disposition in our own Bahamas with job loss to these foreign nationals and to these illegals, and to the monies that we're spending to repatriate them, and to the monies that we are spending our resources to find them and collect them, and to house them and feed them, and then give them medical care and then send them back. This is a drain on the economy that cannot be ignored. I'll give you an example. If it wasn't a drain on the economy, when Standard & Poor's and Moody's made mention of how we ought to reform, to cut back on the spending in the civil service, to cut the civil service if we could, and to cut it so that we can better manage the economy and not have this wastage, not have this overspending. Those are recommendations that were made by Moody's and Standard & Poor's, These are the rating agencies that can rate you as junk bond status or a viable bond that can attract investors to come to the Bahamas. So we've got to be very concerned. Don't miss what I'm saying. We've got to be very concerned about the fact that in all of what we have been seeing here and trying to reverse our reality, in all that we've been seeing here, there's never been a report. There's never been a consideration written, documented, or spoken or expressed by Standard & Poor's and Moody's, these rating agencies, that we have too much monies leaving this country by those illegals who are here draining the economy. Now, hear what I'm saying. They're concerned about the stability, the economic viability, and stability of the Bahamas so that we don't get no downgrading. But they said, here's what you do to avoid that. You have to cut the civil service. You have to tighten your belts. But they never once said to our government that they must also eradicate the illegals because they're a drain on the economy. And that's exactly Economics 101. What is excessive in a drain on your economy? You must eradicate because we don't benefit from that. And that's why illegal immigration is very important. But there are some who miss it because they look from a social point of view. They look from a point of view of, you've got to be more compassionate. But they're not counting the dollars and cents, which is what we need to do now because we need the money. Mr. Christie needs to make sure this economy is robust and moving so that we can have jobs and stimulation for the economy to really, get where it's going and employ some people so that they don't lose their homes in the mortgage relief. He addressed that in his budget communication today, very, very vaguely and very little. Nothing substantive except to say that he's a repeat of what he told me in the interview, that he will, in fact, they're working with some banks and they're going to look at ways and means to fix this mortgage thing because his government, he says, is committed to the mortgage relief program. That's good. But you see, other things are avoiding us getting there because we don't want to look and call out the elephant in the room. The biggest problem that faces the Bahamas is illegal immigration. That's the biggest problem. Until we can nip that in the bud, we will have a leakage, a drainage of people sending monies out, others making monies here that's going to some other economy that's not benefiting us. That's the bottom line on Economics 101 from me. But you know, I don't know nothing about finance, so I can only tell you that the reason I stick with the topic, it is the most important topic of our time. In your lifetime, this will be the story of you, that you lived in a time when there was great problems in the migration of people to your country in numbers that overwhelmed you as a citizen, that impacted your life. That's why it's important, and that's why any government worth its salt ought to make sure that this is a big part of what they're talking about. You can't talk things in an abstract way. I mean, you know, we've got to deal with what our matters are. It is what it is. We've got to deal with it. So I only said that to you today to get the ball rolling, that I'm well aware of Mr. Christie's position on a number of things that he wants to do. And basically, it's not the wrong approach. It is a right approach as far as trying to build the economy, but it has some fallouts because you have to look at the whole picture, not just a piece of it, and ignore the biggest part of the desperate situation, which is the influx of others who are coming, working, saving, sending out monies to the tune of hundreds of millions that you can't afford. That's not to say that they're paying for healthcare or education. That's also a given. The Bahamian taxpayers must carry that burden. Any prudent, responsible government must take a comprehensive look at the biggest problem that we face, and it is immigration. Second to that, it is crime, joblessness, high unemployment. And we do have to have national health insurance, which the Prime Minister supports, and which is a good thing, and I support it too. But we have to get it right. How are we going to do it? I understand he's not going to borrow any money from NIB to support what he's doing. They're going to have to try to grow this themselves. That's a task. It's too big for me to put my head around today. I'm not prepared to. I don't have the energy to go there today, shall we say? No energy for that today. We defer that until the debate begins later on. But I do take note that the nation's chief executive did not mention anything along the lines of looking at the immigration matter to, in fact, see if we can bring some sense to what we're doing here in the Bahamas. And that may have just been an oversight by him. I'm being kind today. And that maybe he'll get to it when they really begin the budget debate. So I'll put that aside for the time. But I've got a question for you. Can we reverse our reality? Think about it. I'm illegal immigration in the Bahamas. That's a reality. You got me? Can we reverse that? Can we reverse our reality? There are many realities that come with that because they're coming rapidly now. The Immigration Department is taxed to the max. Can we reverse our reality of overwhelming illegals from the Republic of Haiti? If so, how so? If so, how so? We have intercepted them, we have processed them, we've housed them, and we have repatriated them time and time again. This is a vicious cycle, without a question. And all that we have done, it has not been effective. It is not working. If you're doing something over and over and getting the same results, that's the what? The evidence of what? Insanity. It's not working. We're doing it and it's not working. That means it's time for a change. That means we've got to try something new because we're trying to reverse our reality with regards to this vexing migration problem. We repatriate them this week. They're back here next week. Fred Mitchell says so. He's not lying. It's true. Can we reverse our reality, though? As we prepared to, well, I should ask this, are we prepared to admit that the illegal migration problem is symptomatic of deeper causes which remain lost upon the general public. Don't miss that. Don't miss what I'm saying here. Are we prepared as a people, as a country, to admit that the illegal migration problem is symptomatic of a deeper cause, something else, which remains apparently lost upon the general public? Was this a plan that we had from way back then to allow for this to happen, and it got out of control? I'll tell you, there's some who advised the government many years ago that we have to grow this economy by bringing people in who are not of us, but look like us, and who work harder than us to help to build the Bahamas for us. That was a deep philosophical thinking and method that was used by others several decades back. Did it get out of control? That's what I mean when I say, are we prepared to admit? See, admitting is coming honest, coming clean and say, well, you know, this really happened because we tried this and this really did not work. And now we've got so many people here, we don't know what to do with them. Many countries have done this, you know. Big secret to hide from people. Many came here many decades ago to work the farms. All that crown land that you see, there was grants to people to work farm. They were abandoned eventually, and the people who were working them stayed right there and lived there and began their own life. That's the reality in the Bahamas. Are we prepared to admit that? And why did this happen is another question. Because we didn't have the confidence of believing in our own people, or we felt that we were better in a way that we couldn't do this manual work to build the country through agriculture and farming and that kind of stuff, so we brought some other people in. There are some among us today who can tell you that story more succinctly and more factually than anybody else. God still has them alive today if they want to come clean and be honest, and they'll tell you how this actually happened. But let's put that aside for a minute. Let me ask you another question. Are we prepared to check the facts of history and tell the honest truth about how we got into this mess? As I said again, there are some people who are alive today who can tell you how this actually happened in the modern Bahamas. That we played with fire and we got burned because we were delinquent in keeping the fire under control. If you're going to bring people here, it has to be a system. The system has to be that we know who's here. We have it so structured. They're here by permit. We have allowed this to happen, and we have full control over it. That did not happen. Thus, today, we have the madness. Now, this added to people who were here and saying, hey, we get a good life, calling up the friends and sending letters and saying, come on over. It's not a problem because, you see, slackness runs the place. There's no real anything to stop you. So come on down. And a lot of people came on down. Of course, I'm simplifying this for you, but this is the essence of what has happened. But we're not prepared to have that discussion, it appears. Even though there are many who are alive and well today, able-bodied to tell you the facts of the matter. They can call me live. They can tell you in their little sidebar stories, wherever you see them. You know who they are. But this is not about them. This is about something that happened to a country that many new Bahamians today, new Bahamians in that I mean new native Bahamians, persons who are really Bahamians, who don't know, young people who came around in 1992 and 1973, and young people, they don't know why we met this mess. They just know that the mess is here. But we can clean this up, and that's why I asked you the question today, can we change and can we reverse our reality? We can. We can reverse it, but you have to begin at the beginning. You have to begin at the point where there's honesty of declaration. Yes, and confession. This is what we did, and this is what it got under control. This is how it got under control, and now we have to find a way to fix it. That's how you move forward. But apparently, immigration and illegal migration to the Bahamas from down south in Haiti is as distant from those who are responsible as it is distant in Mr. Christie's communication today. They're not dealing with that. They're on our run. That's not important to them. Do you get me? Because if they felt the full effect that you felt, that I feel, every day as Bahamian citizens, it would be the thing right in the front of their eyes where they cannot miss it. But because it is not that important, it doesn't even make the initial communication on the budget, when it's the biggest thing that we have a problem with. When I've showed you earlier today how this impacts the GDP because of monies that are leaving this place. This is not just this year. Don't be small. This is not under just Mr. Christie. Don't be small. This is not just under Mr. Ingram. This is for successive governments over at least 7 to 8 decades. But somebody has got to have the willpower to deal with it effectively in a way that we can reverse our reality, I put to you today. But is anybody on that run? It appears that there are many in the legislature who are not on that run. That's what it appears. We are hoping that we are wrong, but deep down inside, we know we're not. The proof is in the pudding. A beautiful budget communication outlined and planned by the nation's chief executive. We've already saved some monies and shaved some monies of that big budget deficit, and we're proud of that, and we ought to be. But we can do more if we tackle a very, very vexing problem that has become monstrous in the Bahamas. But nobody move, nobody get hurt. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody where it counts in the legislature. But you know something, friends? Everyone else around the world is talking about it. Every government is now dealing effectively with it and expeditiously with it everywhere except home in the Bahamas. In any real way, legislatively. Hear that word. Not from a PR point of view of exercising something that looks like this, but really is something else, legislatively. Now, of course, I admit that our country went to the legislature and dealt with our new policies implemented on November 2014 last year. And so they had to go to the parliament to appease some others who had been making noise to say, well, you know, it actually went the route of legislation for it to happen. But it was almost frivolous. It didn't go far enough in the legislation. It needed to go far enough to deal effectively with the ideal of reversing our reality, getting rid of all these people who are here illegally. Didn't go that far. It went to the point where it says you will need a permit to show why. That's a part of it, but it is not effective enough to stem the tide and to eradicate enough who are here and who just come. Doesn't go by and say the legislation that they talked about doesn't go far enough to say, well, we're going back to such and such a date. It just says in a blanket fashion, this is the deal. Leave the details for those who are going to deal hands-on with it to get it right. Something is wrong. I'm suggesting that every other country has dealt with it in a more comprehensive way for the best effect possible, for the best impact possible. Are we prepared to table the real honest evidence to stop the steady flow of illegals into the Bahamas and fix the madness of native Bahamians being outnumbered in the Bahamas? In other words, are we prepared to go as far as the Parliament to put in effective changes to make it a part of our laws, to put in effective changes to stem this flow? Since this has been our reality for the past 7 or 8 decades, it is safe and fair to say that foreign nationals, non-Bahamians, are outnumbering the Bahamas, the Bahamians in the Bahamas. It's fair to say that. Think of it. You see the numbers that are coming now. Go back and multiply that 10 times over every decade that has passed. Go back to 8 decades. Since this has been our reality for the past 7 or 8 decades, it is safe and fair, in my opinion, to say that foreign nationals, non-Bahamians, are outnumbering the Bahamians in the Bahamas. So, let's bring this home so I can open my lines for you and you can talk to me. What were the steps taken that led us to this present situation? What are the steps being taken to reverse our reality of too many of them, not enough of us, and the outnumbering is here? Someone may say, do you have scientific data to make this conclusion? And I would say, look around you, open your ears, observe, look at the numbers coming every day, look at the numbers going out on repatriation, and look at the vicious cycle of them coming back, and then visit most of the Bahamas, the south, the north, the east, and the west, especially on islands like Abaco and Exuma and Eleuthera and Grand Bahama and Andros, most importantly, New Providence. And you tell me if you need more evidence than what nature provides for you if you open your eyes and your ear. You need more evidence than that? It is plain and clear for everyone to see the kind of numbers that we're talking about. Look at Flag Day. See the new generations of them coming up. Kids, lots of them, thousands of them, sitting in a melting pot with their own flag, not yours. 2 nations under one groove cannot happen. You don't need any data. There is no data. You know why? When did the Department of Statistics go out to do household surveys for the labor force or for income? They do not ask your nationality. They do not ask if you have legal status. They do not ask them. And those numbers that they give you that goes into the data bank are numbers of sizes of populations or in the workforce and or who all are here working. How many people are working, what the labor force looks like. That's not done on nationality. That's not done on ethnicity. That's not done on legality, if you were here legal or not. That's done on sheer numbers of people. So even the data that you got is not trusted, cannot be trusted for any real statistical measurement stick or measuring stick, because when investors come, they based upon population sizes, workforce sizes. They don't ask about ethnicity. There's no need for it. Because when they come to the Bahamas, they're supposed to be dealing with who? Bahamians. Thank you very much. So don't give me this jive about, do you have the scientific data? If we were honest, we would have it. Because an honest Department of Statistics mandated to do a job if they were. See, I'm not blaming the Department of Statistics, don't get me wrong. If they were mandated by law to do a job of knowing the ethnicity, the nationality of these people, the legality of these people, if they're citizens or not, then you would know the right numbers. But they're not mandated by that. They have to go out and get the numbers. That's what I said, numbers, not nationalities, numbers. Thank you very much. So now you see. But only one needs to look around and feel the presence of what they feel, and then you'll know. You can't tell me that you're oblivious. Don't tell me that you're putting, let me not say that. Don't tell me that you are somewhat blinded, for want of a better term, like some in the government who can open a budget communication and be totally oblivious to the reality, of more of them than us. Notwithstanding, this is the Ministry of Finance that has to calculate the kinds of monies that are taking flight out of this country. Do we do that? Thank God for the United Nations. When the United Nations does it, we get the statistics and we can tell you they're terrible for us. Lots of monies are leaving. And that's not just from the brothers and sisters down south in Haiti, but they're the largest group. So we concentrate on where the biggest pie is. But it's also from the Peruvians and the Brazilians and the other people who are here, who are also sending monies out by flight that leaves this country. We're being drained. We're like a big mine, and everybody's coming in a mine for money, and they get it and they send it home. What does that mean for you and your children? It means a higher cost of living. It means more taxation. It means that you have got to fit the bill where the others don't fit. That's what it means. And so it cannot be ignored, even if you are giving a budget. It has to be calculated. Immigration has to be focused on. But you see, I did not know and didn't recall, didn't remember, didn't consider. I knew, but I didn't consider today that the Prime Minister would be giving his communication for the budget debate. But when I remembered and I checked and I saw it and I got the information, I said, well, I looked through it to see if there was any subsection on immigration alone, because it's our biggest problem. And when you're talking monies, you cannot ignore it, because too much money is leaving. That impacts the GDP, that impacts negatively the growth of the Bahamas. Not even Moody's them checking for it. That tells you something. They're not here. They're not conscious of what's going on. Because if I were Moody's and Standards & Poor's, I'd say, look here, before you cut the civil service, I need you to eradicate your illegals so that that monies that they're sending out, which is registered, which the people know, because you can check it at it's going out of the country, so we have to have it through the exchange control. We know what it is. We don't talk about it, but the United Nations, every year, they will give you some numbers as to what has been remitted from this place to that place, and ours in the Bahamas is always high, always up in the millions, especially for down south. So, when you consider those things, you have to ask the question, how come Moody's them didn't do this? Wouldn't it be easy to say, hey, we're so concerned about your illegal problem, we're going to ask you to spend a lot of time on doing what? Making sure that that is cut out so that you can keep that money home and you won't have to be doing things like bringing about value-added tax to put on your people so that they can keep their head above water. Mr. Christie says that so far, we have made over $100 and something million in value-added tax. That's great. Now, the key is to spend that in the right places. Because we're already used to paying it. I have no difficulty with it. It's here. It's a tax. But do we need to have these new taxes if we had been better custodians and stewards of the country that God gave us? How can you say that you are happy when all your monies are leaving? Serious stuff. My final question is, do we have the ability to solve this problem of illegals entering? Or do we even have the courage? And that, my friend, is the key word, operative word, courage. And that's why nobody is talking about this, because I suppose we don't have the courage to deal with this matter to the point where we're going to do something definite with impact about this thing. We don't seem to have the courage. But I can tell you this, for instance, I go to the lines, 325-023546. My lines are open now. Let's talk. I can tell you that while we may not have the courage, and while we think ourselves to be people in the first world who know what they're doing, the real people in the first world are doing something that we do not have the courage to do. They are collecting, they are extracting, they are sending back, deporting, and repatriating all illegals in their midst. Australia is doing it. UK, the United Kingdom, is doing it. In fact, today, Mr. Cameron, Prime Minister, made good on what was projected in his speech last week that he would tell the Parliament today about what they're going to do. So the UK is doing it. America, who is known to flip-flop on a lot of things based upon the emotions of others, they are doing it. They have to. The world is a very dangerous place. So let me just remind you of something here. I have calls. I'm going to go to lines. Let me take these calls and I'll tell you something why this is very important for you to pay attention. Because, see, friends, there's no sense in us beating up our gums, calling and rowing and talking about this and talking about that. We have to stay focused. Please let us stay focused. We have a situation here that needs real attention. I've gone to great lengths to find the information to share with you so that we can see how we can fix our situation and reverse our reality. Remember, that's what I asked you today. Can we reverse our reality? What is our reality? Too many are here outnumbering the natives, and it's causing a serious imbalance. A lot of tension. The leaders don't want to talk about that. We understand. But we are very responsible to talk about it in an even way that we can discuss it sensibly, dispassionately, maturely, and look at it for what it is. It's a migration problem that will overwhelm all of us, even those of Haitian heritage who are legal in the Bahamas and have citizenship. It will overwhelm all of us. It doesn't do good for the economy. So take away your nationality from this and look at it from the bare facts, the bare essentials. Illegals coming in and looking for a place to call home to your detriment. So I'm going to tell you in a minute to solidify what I'm saying about the UK is doing it, Australia is doing it, and even America is doing it. But let me take these calls this afternoon on Hard Copy and invite you to the show. Good afternoon, Hard Copy. How you doing?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Steve.
Peace and love.
Did you listen to the speech in its entirety?
I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
Did you listen to the Prime Minister's speech in entirety, the whole?
No. I didn't hear his speech, as I said. I got extracts from his speech.
Because I hear you talking about immigration, but he say each minister going to speak, but that minister not going to probably come up and Minister Fred Mitchell speak.
So listen, you educating me. I already said that. I said today that he didn't say anything.
No, he didn't say anything because listen. I think we should wait and hear with Fred.
Yeah, and I think you should listen to what I'm saying.
You see, before we jump to wagon.
Well,
now, in my opinion, the speech that was the best speech I've
heard. Hold on, my friend. I'm going to cut you. Listen to what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
You want to run on with stuff that you don't have all the facts.
Go ahead.
When I started the show, I said what the Prime Minister said in a part of his speech that I said I'm looking at. I didn't go through the whole thing. Okay. I said, from what I gleaned through it, he did not mention immigration, but maybe, I said, it will come up when the budget debate begins. So we're not jumping to any conclusions. We are simply making a point that the biggest elephant in the room is immigration. You see, I'm not saying that the Prime Minister's speech may not be loaded with wonderful things. I mentioned a couple of them, the saving and the shaving of the budget deficit that we had when the government came into being this time around, which is good. We talked about that. So don't get off by saying, Steve, you got to be smart and wait till the minister speak. We did.
Yeah,
listen.
Across to me what you're saying.
Well, listen, it couldn't have come across to you unless you can't listen well.
I was listening,
it couldn't come across to you like that unless you don't listen well.
Fred Mitchell speak, then we can make that.
Listen, my friend.
In my opinion,
yeah,
I think that was the best speech I've heard for a long, long time.
Wonderful. I appreciate it. See, this is the thing. This is why we can't move forward, There's some who are so quick to defend something that they don't listen. There's no need to defend anything. I am absolutely correct in telling you, the audience today, that based upon the speech that the Prime Minister presented today, there was no mention at all about immigration. My point was that this is the biggest part of our problem, and you cannot ignore it because lots of monies are leaving this country that impacts the GDP, that impacts the financial growth and development of this country because of it. So we have to address it. That was my point. And certainly, when the debate goes on, as I mentioned, you will perhaps hear more about it. Now, anybody who can listen good would have heard that. Listen back on the repeat, and you'll hear me say it again before I'm saying it now, for that gentleman who apparently didn't listen. But let's not get sidetracked with that. The bottom line is this. We have a problem. How do we reverse the problems that we now have that's overbearing to us? How do we do it? Do we have the courage to deal with it? See, this is the real thing. Don't get sidetracked into foolishness because the tapes are there for us to prove. Do we look at this problem from a point of view that we can reverse it? First and foremost, do we believe we can reverse this problem? Do we think that we can do it? Or are we have already decided to throw our hands in there and say, well, that's the way it is, and we can do too much of them? Can we reverse our reality? That's my question today. Hard copy, how are you?
Good evening, Mr. McKinney.
Peace and love.
Hello?
Yes, I'm listening, sir.
Yeah, this is Reconciler. You know, Mr. McKinney, I am glad that you sticking with this issue because it's so very pertinent. I listened to the whole speech of the Prime Minister today, and I must say it was some good news, especially what you mentioned. I heard about that $342 million getting cut off, shave off the deficit.
Yeah, and I also said that we're going to talk about it further tomorrow when I read the whole thing too, and we'll talk about those good parts.
But see, what I'm saying,
my topic today is what it is.
You are absolutely right with this immigration issue. Now, you remember when the Island Shop was there on Bay Street, the bookstore upstairs?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah, and I used to go in there and read. I bought plenty of books from there. And they had a section dealing with the way of the Seika Bahamas in 1800s and 1900s and all of that.
Right.
And I read something on several occasions about the depopulation of the Bahamas by whoever was in charge, and how they had to bring people in from other Caribbean islands, Jamaica, and other places,
Barbados.
And they may have mentioned Haiti too, and all of that, but mostly from the British Caribbean islands. Eventually, the Haitians came. Now, there is a lot of truth to this belief that some of the older people of the past believe that we have to bring in people to populate the country, to grow the population so we could whatever their belief is. But the point is, the backlash to that, Mr. McKinney, is that this immigration problem, now we talk about the remittances, that's a big problem. They say maybe $150 to $200 million per annum, but I believe it's more like $500 million that leave this country. It's not only Western Union and this other place, you have CAPE. There's a local Haitian thing that deals with money called CAPE in Haiti. Hello?
I'm listening.
Yeah, and I heard them talk a lot about that. I heard a program recently about these people who deal with them, with this CAPE thing, and they talk about the monies that change hands. So, Mr. McKinney, these people, now you asked a question about our reality. The point is, do we want to erase our reality?
Well, that's a question as well.
Do we want to erase it? And in my mind, some of the local people want to, but the powers that be, they do not want to. They do not have the political will or the courage to deal with this immigration issue because they have interests in this political, this situation with this illegal immigration. The interest is a political agenda. And that agenda is, I will not say it all right now, but your guess is as good as mine. What that political agenda is.
I appreciate
you. So, Mr. McKinney, the immigration problem, David Cameron, he just won the majority in the recent British elections, and all of them is dealing with it. That's the first item on the agenda. And, you know, we need to deal with it. I don't know if Mr. Chris is going to deal with it. I haven't heard one iota mention about immigration. And I think that he touched some of the main issues that they will debate in this budget communication. And I haven't heard one iota about immigration. So I say continue this bit work that you're doing to sensitize the Bahamian public about this immigration problem, because it's not going away. No matter how much you build this economy or you claim to want to build it, if we have a immigration problem with the money's going on, if we have a crime problem, eventually we're going to have a downside. Have a good day, Brother McKinney.
I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. Yeah. Hard copy, how are you? Okay, so she picked it up finally. Okay, great. 325-023546 is how you can call me to chime in on our debate today. It's very simple, you know. We are debating today in a continuation of our immigration problems that we have, our illegal migration problem to the Bahamas. I only opened the show by mentioning, so we can be current with what is going on and let you know that there was that budget presentation today, communication by the Prime Minister, where there was no mention of anything in his opening remarks. Doesn't mean that he will not talk about it, but there was no mention of it today in his opening remarks. I suppose, as I said earlier, when the budget debate gets underway, they will be dealing with it as best they could. Now, let me see what is happening here today at this floor. Hard copy, how are you?
Yes, a pleasant good afternoon, Mr. McKinney.
Yes. Find out.
Peace and respect. I must commend you for sticking to the subject matter. And, you know, I don't know why persons cannot critically analyze when a host such as yourself, who has a broad range of information and who's been in this country in many capacities as a journalist. And it is not about you pulling down any government. It's about speaking truth to the issue. So, Mr. McKinney, if we are serious in terms of monies going out of this economy, then we would stop and take note. Why is it? And even some of the various banks, because they realize Bahamians live from hand to mouth when it comes to funds. They see the potential to make money. That's why they deal with a lot of consumer loans. Mm-hmm. You ever notice a bank call you to tell you, give you money to set up a business, that you will become self-sufficient?
No.
No, it's about them taking the money and taking the money out of the country to the shareholders. Find that even in terms with the Haitian government, the Haitian government is not going to stop the influx of illegal immigrants to our country, because the monies that is repatriated back to Haiti is gigantic. All right? And we as Bahamians need to realize that, guess what? Every dollar we have, we should try and save.
Yeah.
Because money ain't only going out of the country through the Instagram and the rest of them. You find that the members of churches are taking money out of the country.
Well, listen.
Ministers are taking, you remember the Haitian pastor who was held up a couple of years back?
Yeah.
With over $100,000 and some $1,000.
Yeah, small little suitcases of money with different names on it for families.
And then a prominent doctor was stopped by U.S. immigration with over $200,000 and some $1,000 going back to Jamaica.
Yeah.
Have you heard about that case?
Yeah. Well, listen, I want to engage you. I'm having some difficulty here with this telephone line. I appreciate what you're saying. You're not wrong. And I appreciate your input as always on the show. Thank you very much for your call. Let me see what's happening here. We have to get these phone lines all sorted out. They're ringing on the air. And that's not supposed to happen. I'm going to run to a break. Hold the lines until I come back. This is Hard Copy. Stick with us. We're talking about this illegal migration that's really taking its share on the Bahamas, taking a lot of monies and putting its problems on us in many ways. And we can't seem to get the persons who are really supposed to be on top of these matters to focus on the matters. We seem to be oblivious to certain things that we ought not to be oblivious to. We're coming back on Hard Copy. Hold the lines, 325-0235 or 6. I'll take your calls in just 2 minutes.
The choices we make can make us, like who we turn to for investment and retirement advice. Choosing CFAL means having a trusted advisor on your side, helping you build wealth and meet your financial goals. We manage pension assets for businesses and offer individual plans to help you design a secure retirement. We can provide brokerage services and comprehensive research support for clients needing a little more investment guidance. CFAL can help you build a portfolio you can be proud of. Visit us at cfal.com. CFAL sees your future.
Are you a holder of a bachelor's degree? Are you in the job market looking for employment? Listen up. The Department of Labor is urging Bahamians with a bachelor's degree in any and all professions to move now and register with the department at its Clarence Bean Building or Robinson Road office or any of the family of islands. Don't hesitate. Bachelor's degree holders, register today without delay, whether you are employed or unemployed. For more information, contact the Department of Labor at 302-2550 or 302-2562.
The Bahamas experienced record heat in April. Well, it's staying hot in May at Super Value and Quality supermarkets with sizzling savings like Carno Cream, the large can, 99 cents. Ocean Spray Cranberry Juice, 60-ounce can, $4.99. Vitamol Tonic, the can or bottle, the 12-ounce size, 99 cents. Value Time Foam Plate, the 40 count, $1.69. Chicken leg quarters, the 10-pound bag, 89 cents per pound. All that and more at Super Value and Quality supermarkets, your Bahamian supermarkets.
Thought that 4G had the fastest mobile data speeds? Well, it did, until BTC brought you the scorching fast speeds of 4G LTE. LTE is 5 times faster, 5 times smoother, and 5 times better than regular 4G. Download MP3s and apps in the blink of an eye. Stream movies at explosively fast speeds. Once you experience the scorching fast mobile data speeds of 4G LTE, your life will never be the same. Live the experience with LTE, only at BTC every day.
Executive Printers. We're professionals. At Executive Printers, we do not participate in trash talk. We concern ourselves with the accuracy and security of your laser check. That is why we put 15 securities on your laser checks. This is not trash. This is fact. It makes fraud almost impossible. Call us today at Executive Printers at 393-5011 or email us at sales@epbahamas.com. That's sales@epbahamas.com. Executive Printers. Laser checks. We do them right.
This year, don't be caught singing the Christmas blues. Start saving now with your own B.O.B. Christmas Club account. Sign up before June 30th with just $20. Earn high interest and have guaranteed spending money in time for Christmas. Don't be left in a bind this year. Let B.O.B.'s Christmas Club account work for you. Sign up today at your nearest B.O.B. branch. B.O.B., your bank of solutions.
Le Bleu, premium, ultra pure drinking water. Ah, this is real refreshing stuff. Made especially for fine restaurants and hotels at the 5-star level. But you can drink it anywhere at any time because it's truly premium, ultra pure drinking water. We believe that we've developed the ultimate process to produce the purest and best tasting water in the world. Le Bleu is the water that truly deserves to reside at your table because a great meal should be accompanied by great water. And we present you with Le Bleu Premium Ultra Pure. Enjoy.
When Steve talks, people listen. People listen. People listen.
Welcome back. Thank you for holding the lines. 325-0235 or 6. We had some difficulties. I don't know what was happening there, but we think we got it cleared up now. Thank you for staying online with us as we talk a very important topic as usual. Can we reverse our reality? I'm talking illegal immigration into the Bahamas. They're coming rapidly now. The Department of Immigration is taxed to the max. Can we reverse our reality of overwhelming illegals from the Republic of Haiti? If so, how so? Are you interested in this? We look at all the monies that are going back. We look at the depletion of the economy. We look at these things, and yet we see that our leaders, our legislators, don't appear to be in tune with what is happening here. They seem to be oblivious to this very ever-present big monster in the room that is eating up all the monies and living off the fat of the land, while Bahamians are paying serious monies in taxes. And the taxes are, as a result, direct result of nobody, not even Standards & Poor's and Moody's, advising this government that one of the things that they can do to shore up this economy and stop the bleeding is to extract these illegals who are here to clean up your illegal immigration problem so that all this money don't be leaving the country. And you don't have the burden of having to pay for all these other things that somebody has to pay the bill for. And the somebody happens to be Bahamians with good standing here, whether a citizen of Bahamians by citizenship or Bahamians by birth, they're paying the bills. While others in the thousands, perhaps the hundreds now of thousands, who are here. And we can't seem to put a handle on it. I ask you your thoughts. Are we able to reverse our reality? The reality is that they're here in great numbers. Can we reverse that? How do we do that? If so, how so? Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy, how are you? Okay.
Hello?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm listening.
Copy?
Yes, this is hard copy.
Good day, Mr. McKinney.
Good day to you.
Pleasure to be on your show. The answer to your question, I think yes, we can turn it around. But first, we must have the will to turn it around.
The will, the courage.
Yes, and what has to be done also, it has to be done through our law, our Constitution. It has to be altered. Article 7 has to be revisited and brought up to date, whereas we can protect our country. Because when you look at it, even our business people are taking advantage and patronizing the situation. But why would a business support a flag day of another country? They say it's only business. So
it's only business among a demographic of people.
For them in a positive manner.
Yep.
And what has brought us to this state, I must say, one is greed, another one is sympathy and exploitation. Our leaders are using two of those, greed and exploitation.
Yeah.
And because of that, they're not doing what they should do to protect us as a country. We are a very prosperous country because that will be very fast. But all of the infrastructure to protect us is not in place, and what is in place, we're not using effectively.
So we can reverse our reality.
We can.
Do you think we want to? Somebody said maybe we don't want to.
The majority of the indigenous Bahamian people want to, but our leaders are set in a way because of greed and exploitation. They're reluctant to do so.
I understand. So what do the people do in a case like that? What would you consider that we should do in a case like that?
When I look at it, both of our major parties are thinking alike when it comes to that. We probably independent or
what you're saying is we need to have some new people.
We need
a paradigm shift.
A new way of thinking.
Yeah, I
because both of our parties do the same thing.
Okay, I appreciate your call.
All right.
Thank you kindly. All right. Well, everybody else is doing something, and it seems to me as if we're being left behind because we don't have the capacity to think outside the box on this particular matter because we are too involved, and that may be our problem. See, this comes back to one of the pivotal points of concern. Are we involved at a level that we cannot express, that we cannot tell you about? When I say we, I'm talking about the Bahamas. Are we involved, and are Bahamians of old and new are so involved that they cannot do anything about it because they are intimately involved in a way that they have helped to perpetrate this. This has been systematically perpetrated because that's what that gentleman is saying now, that both sides seem to not have the same views on this. No one is bringing it up. Isn't it interesting that amongst all of the topics and things that plague the Bahamas, the opposition talks not about immigration, and the government talks about immigration, but from a point of view of let me humor them, because really, the Bahamian people want real results. They want to see effective results. And you see this thing about, the boat is sinking, right? And so you just bail in the water. Your boat's still in the water. You just bail in the water as it comes in the boat. Well, that ain't mean that you ain't sinking. That mean that you're just going along, but you ain't fixing the problem. This thing that we see here now is symptomatic of a deep problem. What is that deep problem? Is there a hole in the boat that was deliberately put there so that we could keep treading water to stay afloat, but we ain't stopping the problem? Now, this is some deep stuff I'm talking here, and so if this is too much for you, don't get involved. I'm trying to assure you that we had been treading water for 8 decades. Something has to be wrong with that. There had to have been some smart people somewhere along the line say, hey, let's plug this hole. Even now, let's plug this hole, and it's not being done. What gives here? That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with this. That's what I'm asking the question. This overwhelming problem, can we reverse the reality of it? Because this is real what's happening, friends. Can we reverse it? Talking ain't gonna do it. You need action. Where do you get action in the Bahamas, in a democratic society? You get action in the parliament. You don't get action really on the streets. That's just kind of like public relations action, I call that. That's just going through the motion action. You could cause some things to happen, but it has to still happen in the parliament. That's why I'm saying to you today, with the best and the most respect for the Prime Minister, who I happen to appreciate and respect, Perry Gladstone Christie, the Right Honorable Prime Minister. And he knows that. But he also knows that I'm going to point out some things. See, you don't know that, but we've had that conversation, friends. You cannot govern a country oblivious to the biggest problem that it has and give me a budget debate that does not include the reality of that problem. I don't care how you put it, and I don't care how much you don't like it. That's a fact. How can you ignore such a problem? I'm not saying that, I mean, in this budget communication today, it has not been mentioned. But see, it is so big, it's supposed to be mentioned there. It's supposed to see this budget communication by the Prime Minister, in case you don't know. And I work for government all my life. I can tell you everything about these kinds of things. So don't think you can educate me on that, though I can get some education. Don't think that you can school me on is what I want to say. I know about this stuff. Okay? Let me tell you something. The budget communication is a summation of all that you want to tackle based upon how much of a priority it is. This immigration thing is a priority. It is an urgent, vexing matter, yet it cannot make the first speech of the budget. And I put it to you, it doesn't make the first speech of the budget, which helps to set the tone for the debate, because it is not apparently that important. Don't you get it? Okay, put it this way. The budget debate is so very important to the Bahamas because it sets out the tools and the parameters of what we're looking at, what we hope to achieve, what we plan to do, how we've spent, how we've not spent so good, where we need to pull up our socks and all that kind of stuff. It's a money matter kind of thing, but it's based upon the social and moral, educational condition, political condition, economic condition of this country. That's what it's based upon. It's a reality check of where monies are going to go, how we want to spend monies, what needs more, how we have done in the international markets as far as keeping our bills paid, all of that. That's what it is. It's a budget. It's reflecting where we're trying to go and where we've come from and where we've been. Now, if we are going forward based upon all the moves by Moody's and Standard & Poor's telling us every year, you got to tighten your belt. You got to cut the civil service. We haven't done those things, have we? No. Because politically, that's death for the politician. It's not politically expedient to do those things. And my point today is that Standard & Poor's and Moody's, these rating agencies who have advised our government, successive governments, what to do to shore up that they're going to have monies to pay their bills and all this kind of stuff, and they're not going to lose any ratings with bonds to keep them in the right market to get investments. They have never told us, go back and check any report, they have never told us anything about looking at the fact of the matter of illegal migration and remittances from these persons who are not supposed to be here back to their country. They have not considered that monies. That's monies that's going out. So I don't know how anybody who does finances can ignore that we got a big hole over here where we can make money and don't address it. And not only that, from a social point of view, the impact has been so serious that every Bahamian around this place making noise and grumbling and complaining about what? Illegal migration. If that wasn't true, how come Fred Mitchell then respond to what they're doing because the problem is overwhelming? How come Fred Mitchell can see the problem is overwhelming? And in the national outlook from the man in charge of the money purse, there's no considered opinion or view along the lines of what we're going to do with immigration. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that the PMA ain't got no intentions of dealing with it, perhaps in the budget, but I'm saying it's such a big damn problem that it ought to be in the headlines of the budget. That's all I'm saying. And you saying it too. You know you're saying it. But I have every faith and confidence that the Prime Minister and this team will tackle this matter in the budget debate when it begins. This is just the opening remarks. This is just what you call our considered views as to what we think is important for this new fiscal year. So we're telling you in a budget communique, and we will then thrash it out and, you know, separate ourselves into different aspects of it and debate it. But I don't know if you can hear any much that's going to happen from an immigration point of view, except that we need more money. Fred Mitchell already told us we need more money to send people home. 2 weeks ago, he said, we need to do it because why? He says we have run out of the monies that were allocated for this particular assignment. He says we're going to have to find some more money. And on top of that, we're going to have to find a new measure of transporting them back home because Bahamas Air can't go down there no more. And we have to find a foreign carrier. That's more money. So it is a reality that we've got to deal with. If it's spending, if we're spending it, we got to include it. So from that aspect, I suppose Mr. will talk about it, but I'm saying this is such a big problem that it's supposed to make the headlines. It's supposed to make a part of the, what you would call it, the opening overview. It's supposed to make that. There's supposed to be a section on the overview, the overall overview as to where the government's going on the matter. If you can't see that, then I can't get you to see nothing. Hard copy. Hard copy, how are you?
Good evening, Mr. McGinney. How are you doing, sir?
Very good, thanks.
Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm very good. Thank you very much.
That's good, Mr. McKinney. I wanted to point out three things to you, Mr. McKinney, in regards to this immigration situation. It's going to be a situation that is perpetually the pink elephant in the room because of the historical aspect of it. And when I talk about the historical aspect of it, what I'm speaking about in particular, Mr. Leonard Thompson, former member of Parliament for North Abaco, in his memoirs, he said specifically that there were two individuals in Abaco who were promised 500 plus acres of land if they voted in favor of a vote for the PLP as a vote for independence campaign. Now, those same two tracts of land were given, and those same two tracts of land now are the two biggest Haitian constituencies.
Pigeon P in the mud.
In the mud and Pigeon P. Okay?
Yeah.
That's one aspect of it, right? The next thing is in terms of the fact that Mr. Mitchell appears to be on his own, and the reality is, in a large regard, he is on his own.
I believe
due
that.
to the fact that I would give you this much: approximately 5 sitting members of Parliament received a good substantial amount of their campaign funding from a particular individual who is well known to be one of the biggest traffickers of illegal immigrants into this country.
What?
This particular individual owns not only a travel agency, they own a shipping company and an airline company. Okay? And when things got a little too hot for them under the former administration, that particular individual moved to Canada, but they still have their business interests and that illegal trade still operational.
My Lord.
Now, to show you how serious it is, I was present sitting down and I watched certain ministers who are now ministers in the government come in there, get their grease, and leave.
Wow.
Okay? So Mr. Mitchell is always going to be on his own until we implement campaign reform, election campaign reform,
My Lord.
in terms of this funding, where these fellas getting this money from. Ain't nothing going to happen.
I understand. So we could reverse our reality, but that's not in the purview of certain people.
And they don't care to do it. And this whole exercise of them rounding up illegals in this particular stage Yes, Mr. Mitchell is pushing it, but when you have senior officials, senior officers within the immigration department itself, who in one breath, when a camera or a microphone is in their face, they are talking one thing, and even though they're supposed to be men of the cloth, here it is. I can give you an actual example of when a particular other pastor who owns a business, having 5 illegal immigrants there who were picked up, he made his phone call, and that senior immigration officer who was a pastor released those individuals.
My Lord.
Okay? And those individuals haven't
Fraternity
had
brothers.
clean status for more than 10 years.
My Lord.
Okay, so this is just simply boiling down to corruption in every single sphere of our economy and in our community. And until we decide to deal with corruption once and for all, and instead of wasting money on these commission of inquiries and start sending some individuals to jail, and we won't have any real action and we won't have any real activity.
Yes.
Because those individuals who call themselves honorable men are not honorable men. And that is why they can't open up their mouth, because they know that the people know.
My Lord.
That's my 5 cents, Mr. McKinney.
I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for being involved and sharing with us. And, this is some serious stuff. This is some serious stuff. But are we, nonetheless, determined? I know some old soldiers who are determined to fix this problem because, really, conscience is a serious thing and retribution is also a serious thing. There's some among us who know exactly how this all got started, and who are the foundation of at least knowing that corruption exists in some cloisters that it is too dangerous to talk about. Serious stuff. What do we do? I mean, do we really want to reverse our reality? See, the new Bahamian really wants to have a chance at this country. That's my son, your grandchildren, my grandchildren. They want to have a chance. They're not going to get a chance if the numbers are overwhelming now in our lifetime. See, some other fellows who already gone off the scene, the numbers were kind of like even in their lifetime, so it was still a little bit okay. The numbers have far surpassed their lifetime numbers in our lifetime, which means that there are more of those who are especially illegal at this particular juncture in our development. You can't develop a country, friends, brothers and sisters. We cannot develop a country with a major clandestine operation, another subculture that's draining the funding of a developing progressive country from that developing progressive country. How do you do it? It can't happen. So the others who are here, any economy that has this subculture that is based upon corruption and illegality, that is a different part of the Bahamas that don't really count, You can't add what you see with that happening in any impact to the GDP from a positive point of view. It's draining us. That money really don't exist as far as we're concerned officially. And what it means is that we've got 2 countries running simultaneously in one country. And we knew this under successive administrations, and we can't seem to do nothing about it until now that people are talking about it. And like that young man called just now, who I happen to know who he is, he knows what he's talking about, and he said it so succinctly, that it has to be the core of corruption to perpetrate something like this all of these decades without incident. And when the people get wiser, you step up your supposedly anti-tactics to make them think that it's going the way that they want. He's also right that Fred Mitchell is alone. I told you this months ago. It appears, I said, that Mr. Mitchell is on his own. because it seems like the others who sit around the table. March 16th, right here, March 16th. See, I said there appears to be questionable governance in our immigration rules. As a country, we do not appear to be serious. Our actions are inconsistent with what we say. It appears we have and are looking for a one-man show when it comes to immigration matters. While it's a matter for the cabinet and the Bahamas cabinet collectively, it seems that some cabinet ministers have this notion that immigration is a matter for Fred Mitchell and Mitchell alone. March 16th. I'm reading from a clip from March 16th. Yeah, so, you know, that's nothing new. Mitchell seems to be alone. And that's why perhaps the overall overview of today's budget communication does not segue any which way to anything about immigration. Hard copy, how are you?
How are you, Mr. McKinney?
I'm in good shape today, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir, Mr. McKinney, I disagree with you.
Well, that's fine.
That budget seems to be a budget that is made to provide job for the immigrants. You see, because it doesn't provide anything for ownership of this economy. We talked about boutique hotels owned by foreigners. You know, that's like his climate report.
You saying you disagree with me? You saw
in a way, you know, because in other words, it was a budget for that provides low-paying jobs that only the immigrant in this country get.
I see.
All the construction jobs, only the immigrants get them. The maid jobs.
So is that
what I'm saying?
So you're saying when you look at this on the surface, it doesn't look as if he may have dealt with it, but he has put something good in the budget for them to have.
Right. For them, for the immigrants to have.
That's what I'm saying.
Did you hear anything about legislation that provides him to go and raise money?
No.
To the well?
No, the budget is absent of a lot of things. But see, Christie is trying his best to grow the Bahamas, but he is thinking one-sided. He's just looking at investment and income. That's where his thing really is. Which tells us that those who advised him on the budget, they're not thinking along the lines of the big picture of what plagues the Bahamas and see that as a means of trying to get us away from, to move away from what's plagued us by eradicating it, by eliminating it. We know that we're plagued by this heavy immigration influx, yet we are not dealing with it from a point of view that this could help to grow our GDP by dealing effectively with it to get them to stop. That will help us with more monies because the monies won't be going out. They won't be coming in. We won't have to spend money on them to fix the. But no one is thinking along that. They're just saying, you got to tell the people about some good things. We can have a hotel here. We can do this. We can do. That's how they're thinking. That's old school. That's what I'm saying. We need a new thinking.
Mr. McKinney, the hotel said he talked about it now owned by Bahamians. So this is that old budget. That seems like a UBB budget to me.
Well, I won't be so critical yet. I'm going to take a look at it, and we will really discuss that budget in great detail.
McKinney, he talked about exemptions. Exemptions to who? Who owns the properties in the city? Isn't it the rich people and the immigrants with ambition?
Allow me to discuss that later this week, please. All right?
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. This is how people see certain things. We mustn't lose focus about our discussions about friends. We can have time to talk about that budget and really analyze it. Don't worry about that. We can do that. Don't you worry about a thing. Today, your question really is about, can we reverse our reality? I only made mention of the budget to show you how the government is oblivious to the elephant in the room, immigration, the biggest thing that plagues the Bahamas. And I only was asking, how do you put together a budget that doesn't talk about those things in the overview, which is the thing that's choking us? In other words, let's say that you drowning, right? All you could think about as you drowning is for someone that's throwing rope to you or to give you a hand to pull you out of that water. Am I right? Good. Well, here it is. We're drowning. We're being overwhelmed by a sea of illegals. The people need relief. But the fellow who see you drowning, he on the side saying, look here, don't worry about a thing. We can build a hotel so that when we build this hotel, the pool can save you. We can have a short part of the pool that you don't go in the deep and get drowned. But you drowning. What you think is urgent? To throw you a rope now that he got in his hand, that he using, swinging around as he talk to you, or to promise you about this pool that can come so you don't have to go in the deep and drown. You're a drowning man. You need rescue. Am I right? Am I right? That's what I'm saying. See, that's how oblivious they are to the danger of our reality. That's why I asked you the question, can we reverse our reality? If you were drowning, you'd say, man, look here, stop talking, you know what, and throw me that rope. That's what you'd say. Be fair about it. Be honest about it. You ain't want to have no thing talking about what we gonna do when the biggest urgent matter that you have right now is to don't drown. You ain't want to have the fella say, now, what I can do, okay, while you're drowning, what I can do, I can make sure I buy some life vests for you and some flippers and a goggle. You said to him, Chief, throw me that rope you got in your hand. He said, no, I'm using this because I want to swing this around while I'm talking. Thank God for humor. But sometimes we miss the point. Don't miss the point. This is not about the things and the good plans that Mr. Christie has. That's great. But you know what this is about? The urgency of now. We ain't got no money. I don't know if you guys realize it. We ain't got no money to send the people back. We need more money. We need a better plan. We need a better operation. We need to reverse this reality. The reality is that you all are being outnumbered. End of story. You all are being swept over by a sea, a flood of others coming in. That's your reality. Can we reverse the reality? That's what I'm asking you today. And do you want to? Somebody put it quite great to me today. I think it was Reconciler. He says, it ain't if we could reverse it. It is if we want to reverse it. And maybe it's too profitable to reverse. Which reminds me that we've got to tackle the next biggest problem in the room, which is crime. Because crime seems to be so profitable in the Bahamas with all of the new companies of securities and this kind of stuff now. This alarm company, that one, this new dog company. It seems like we make money of adversity. And then we get to the point where, you know, we really need to reverse that because this is bringing a pretty penny for some defense lawyers. This is bringing a pretty penny for some researchers, some, you know, all kinds of stuff. Crime, that's another big problem. But even if a drowning man is drowning, he ain't want to hear you talk about it. But guess what? While you drowning there, we got the cure for crime. He on the dock, he got the rope in his hand. He telling you about crime. You want that rope to be rescued out of this water. Urgent matter. Immigration overwhelming you. Do you have the capacity to reverse it? Hard copy, how are you?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
There's Steven Surratt here. Steve, the answer is yes. It can be reversed. It can be reversed. And one of your callers who spoke on corruption, he hit the nail right on the head. That is the problem. And Steve, I pray that you would investigate these things as they come to you. You know, we have to be brave and courageous. You are brave. That gentleman was so brave and courageous. We need more people to be brave and courageous and stand on the side of truth and just call a spade a spade. We have to save our country, Steve. And it can be reversed. And again, we must have the will to do it. So God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And like the word says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and heal their land. So, Steve, God's blessings and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much for your contribution. Hard copy, how you doing?
Hey, good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there.
Yeah, you know, I too believe that the situation can be reversed. And, you know, right now, I think they should stop giving away work permit, stop giving away citizenship. These things should be put on hold for at least 2 years to allow us to clean up this country. You know, because it's almost like you having this problem and you're still giving out work permits, and we have a lot of behemoths that are unemployed. So if the government would think seriously about this, that would those things they would do first to try to stop it for that period of time.
Yeah.
Secondly, pardon me?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Secondly, as it relates to the law that you said came into effect, I think you said last week, Monday, right?
The 18th.
You said if anybody find hiding, harboring, or any illegal immigrant,
harboring, or hiding.
right, would face a fine of $10,000 or 5 years in prison or both.
Yeah.
I saw on a roundup at the Coral Harbor roundabout yesterday. But what is so amazing, Steve, is that I would think since this law came in effect, that not only would you see immigration officers at the roundabout, you would see police officers there also. Because I think the immigration officers have the responsibility of detaining illegal immigrants, and I think the police will have the responsibility of detaining persons who facilitate them.
Yeah, that's
I
correct.
don't think the immigration officer has that authority. I mean, I don't know. This is only my intellectual thinking that they would be responsible only for illegals, and the police would be on the scene to detain the persons who harbor these illegals.
Well, you know, that's quite dramatic. Let me tell you what happens here, organizer. When you see a roundup happens and there are people who are in gainful employment by others, that will be investigated, and there's something called due process. So don't be put off or discouraged that there's no police to arrest people where these people are working. No, it doesn't work that way. And lawyers would have a field day in court for that. It works another way, where there are people being investigated, and they may never be arrested for a period of time. And once the evidence is compiled and they arrest them, they will have to show that it is so. So the police are not going to be there. That's a little bit dramatic, one. And two, it could cause a lot of other problems in the country, but do things that way. Because we have people now talking about that we are a police state already.
Okay, so if you take the illegal immigrant from my vehicle,
and
I'm allowed to go. I mean, I'm just trying to understand how.
I hear what you're saying. If an illegal, if a roadblock happens, and there's circumstances, sometime mitigating circumstances that cause. I know a friend of mine who had given a group of guys a ride on a truck. You know, the truck's passing, and people flag them down. Well, everybody jump on the back of the truck. He was stopped at a roadblock, and
yeah, that's a big technicality.
You see what I'm saying? But if you got somebody in the car and you have them driving, and the police investigation can show that they have been, this is the regular routine, this the boss man taking me to work, I'm illegal, that's a different story. They investigate those things and people are charged. That's how come they were able to charge several gas stations and give them hefty fines. So there's a way that I don't know how they do all of the ins and outs, but I know that there is a due process system.
I would like the director of immigration to really expand on that.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to talk with him now in an interview.
Curious about that. But I want to conclude by saying this, Steve. I think the government needs to now invest in drones, and I'd like the minister to make that public, that is what they're going to be looking into, where they're going to, I assume that a good drone system would not cost no more than $40,000. And if you invest that kind of money, say buying about a few drones that would cover the northern part of Haiti, I think that would tremendously cut down on all the expenses we have.
You may be right. I'm sure that the Minister of Immigration is going to speak in great detail.
I expanded a little bit more. So if you tune into JC, you'll probably hear a little bit more of that tomorrow evening on that show. But that was some of my inputs on that, Steve. I think that the government can reverse this problem.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. 325-0235 if you want to chime in on this. But I know that we are wary. And the people will be wary if the officials who they've elected to serve them in the parliament continue to pretend as if we have no problem. Boy, there's nothing like when people pretending that they ain't got a problem. And there's an old English comedy that comes on the PBS station from the BBC. And it's Hyacinth Farrington, I think, is a Hyacinth, what's her name? Anyway, it's called Keeping Up Appearances. And she walks around busying herself or being so important. and all kinds of stuff just to keep up appearances, just to make people believe that she is more than what she really is. That's our situation in the Bahamas. We're keeping up appearances. We want to make sure that everybody believes that this is this beautiful little sun-soaked country, island paradise, where everything works well and that we're on top of everything that we're doing. When the biggest problem we have is immigration, second to that is crime, and they go hand in hand in many cases. Third to that is unemployment, joblessness. And certainly the economy is still not where it ought to be. Christie's budget, from my first glance at it, just looking through it and skimming through it, tells me that he has gone far out to showcase to the Bahamian people in his budget communication that he is looking hard and working very hard to find jobs for people, because he named all kinds of developments in the islands and all kinds of projects that he's projecting will come on stream very shortly that obviously will bring some jobs for people. That's the old way of thinking in the Bahamas, that, excuse me, as long as we can show that we are getting some jobs, we're in good shape. Bahamians want ownership. They want a stake in the land. This is the new way of thinking. This is the time of economic independence. Christie knows within his own heart that his legacy can only be had and secured with economic independence. Pinling got jobs. All the others got jobs. The late Pop Simonet got jobs. Every Bahamian was working 3 or 4 jobs on the UBP now. It was no job problem. It was no money problem. They had a job. The government still changed because they wanted more. So they had jobs. Christie has to find jobs. He wants to fulfill a promise and a mandate, and we understand that. But there are some things that are to work simultaneously with your quest to get jobs. Getting jobs could also mean eradicating illegals who got jobs that Bahamians can get. But you ain't want to deal with that. Growing the economy could mean making sure you neutralize, nullify any other leech that's out there sucking dry the country of its resources and ain't business there. But we're not thinking like that. We're just thinking so much on the job. We're saying we all could coexist. Let them stay there. Don't worry about that. We can get more jobs. And no. Because the gentleman is right who tried to express himself earlier, that the jobs he is talking about are domesticated jobs, domestic jobs that more than likely the other people will get. So to grow the economy, we do need to have investments. It's no question. But Christie's main focus, based upon what I've gleaned from his budget, just skimming over it, tells me that's where his head is. And I can't blame him. You've got to find something for the people to do. But there's a balancing act here. While you're finding something for some people to do, you got to neutralize and make sure that the people who coming in, that you ain't working that hard to give them job. You got me? You get 100 jobs in Eleuthera. The boat come in last night. The contractor picked them up. They gone on the job. The 100 Eleutherans who are waiting for the jobs, they still sitting under the tree. You got to stop the problem. Do we have what it takes to reverse our reality of being overwhelmed by immigration, by immigrants, especially from Haiti? That's where your big problem is. The Peruvians and them, they here. They here because the government want them here. They want pretty maids and curly-haired people to be in their homes. They ain't really want no peasy-haired people. They say that it's tote news too much and thief. I'm only telling you what they say. I don't believe them. And so they perpetrate that as well. That's another side that we don't talk about. And it's not, for me, it's not about class or color. Illegal migration is illegal migration. Foreign nationals working in the country is exactly what it is. I call it as I see it. But the trouble is why some people are taken aback is because when we talk, we give you facts that it is the people from the Republic of Haiti who are here in great numbers illegally. That's why they get the attention. Don't think no one is picking on them. We have a lot of illegal Jamaicans there too. When they are found, they are fingerprinted and sent out of the country, never to return again legally. I suppose 1 or 2 of them may sneak back. But once they're deported, that's it. We just started fingerprinting some of the illegals from Haiti? You need to know that. The question is why? That isn't the immigration fellas, you know. No matter how much of them may be corrupt. That's the system. Just like the Department of Statistics. They can't do nothing outside the mandate of what they have to do. So you can make noise all you want that they're giving you statistics that you don't understand how much of them is behaving and what. No, that ain't their mandate. Their mandate is to go get the numbers. The immigration officer's mandate is to go get these people, repatriate them, and make a log of whatever names they give you, that's who you got. They ain't even had a fingerprint machine inside that place up until late last year. Up until early this year. And it probably just getting around to being used just recently. But the boatloads are coming. Do we have what it takes to round up, document properly, send out, set up a system if you want people to come into work to do it properly? Can we do that? That sounds so logical. Sounds like it makes sense to me, but you know, these fellas doing it another way. Maybe because the other way is more lucrative. I don't know. I just know that we have a major problem and that the world is watching as they do their job in the UK, in the United States, in Australia, and many other places. But in the Bahamas, we still jiving around, so to speak. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey, Steve.
Hey.
How's it going, man?
All is well.
Boy, you're 100% correct on some things. But I want to take that a step further. They're all illegal. And here's why I say that. And if I'm off, then you correct me. The process as it relates to work permits. Before immigration ever sees any kind of paperwork, the Department of Labor must first issue a labor certificate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Now, the Department of Labor is responsible as far as due diligence. Whatever the prerequisites are, whatever justification somebody may be applying for a work permit for somebody that is not a Bahamian, their job is to ensure that the information submitted is truthful and correct, right?
Very true.
What is it that and I hear what you say about PZ and Curly here. I hear you.
I'm in the Mashakon, you know.
Oh, no, I can shake you straight. But this is my thing. What prerequisites somebody submitting a request to the Department of Labor could include to clean your house and look after your children? They get fancy, you know. You ever read the newspaper? They want people that speak Spanish and this, that, and the next
German,
thing.
I know.
Steve, pardon my friend for a second, but how in the hell you could say that you want somebody that speaks another language in an English-speaking country and expect for us to give you the right to leave Bahamians unemployed? What justification could even the Department of Labor?
There is none. It's greed and corruption that causes that.
But Steve, that's my point. We've been allowing the Department of Labor to get away for too long before immigration ever sees any paperwork. Labor's there.
Yeah, but you know, I will tell you this, and it's not because I know him, but this gentleman who's there now, Mr. Farquharson, has been doing a hell of a job. He has been doing a hell of a job to just wake against that same thing that you're talking about. And I told him, I said, I don't know how long you're gonna last here. You're doing your job. See, there's a problem with that. I don't know how long he's gonna last, because the truth is, my friend, he is ensuring that these fellows who bring in all this jive time foolishness that they come here with, that you need this, he's putting that to the test. He's saying, look here, I can stop this. And you know how he's stopping it? There's an announcement on this station right now that talks about the bachelor's degree people. If you got that, just register. Even if you're weekend, register yourself. Because what is happening, they're coming here with this jokey thing about you need to have this bachelor's degree to do something like, you know, standing in the car and counting how much cars pass. They're doing that because they know they did their research. You see, we've got imposters inside there parading around Bahamians, you know. We got some fellas there who telling them this what to do. Put it like this, so, and some of them are lawyers.
Of course,
put it like this so that when they try this, you would block them, you see, because we ain't got that amount of people. So what you do, you say it like this, and you put this on the thing, so that, and that's what's happening. But we got a fella named Farquharson who's training to be a lawyer, I think, if he's not already a lawyer, who understands the ins and outs of how they pass the system and how they've been getting these labor certificates. See, that's what is happening. That's where the big hole is.
and I understand that, Steve, right? If I may interject for a second, and that's fine and good. I understand that this is something that's been going on from time immemorial, man.
Decades.
And it's going to take some more time to sort the situation out. But still a lot more needs done, because if you submit paperwork to our entities in our sovereign state, our sovereign country, where you lie,
yeah, you disqualify off the top.
To the Department of
The
Labor,
whole
and the
application is
Department of
null and void.
Immigration. See, but this is my thing, right? If these prerequisites, and here's why I can tell you this: hospitality has been my thing for about 15 years. The bachelor's degree I do have, paid for it on my own in another man's country, came back, attempted to apply that in the hospitality industry here. That means absolutely nothing.
Run your business.
Because here's why: they brought fellas in, and you could see the ad in the papers because it's something that they have to do. This prerequisite, that prerequisite. You have to speak 80 different languages. You must have had 180 years experience in the industry, all this, that, and the next thing. But then people are allowed to come in here, assume these positions, make ridiculous amounts of money with perks left, right, and center. And the behemoths are the ones that are training these people. The behemoths are the ones that are doing the work. There's a problem with that, man. But it's my understanding now that the conditions, even when this paperwork gets to immigration now, that whoever's identified, selected to assume these posts, that a Bahamian protege, apprentice, if you will,
has to be named
to shadow these people. You come in here, you do your time. When you finish training the Bahamian, you make your money, get out.
Yeah.
You see what we're falling down on the job?
Yeah.
If we can do this, let's be comprehensive about it. Otherwise, the status quo will remain the same. Man.
I agree with you. You
All
see,
right, my brother. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I agree with him. We have to do it in a comprehensive manner to tackle all things at once. But I found out in the Bahamas that we can only do one thing at a time. I had a friend, Doyle Burrows, who used to be Burrows and Burrows manager, the Anza Burrows brother. And he used to say all the time to us when he came, there's boys who were cutting up the meat, little young butcher boys, you know, the apprentices in the butcher shop, learning how to cut up meat and all that. And a lot of times, one of the first things he'd say, now listen here, when y'all come inside here, do not chew no gum inside here. And we say, do not chew any gum. He says, you are cutting up meat. You know that Bahamians can't chew gum and walk. So what you think about chewing gum and cutting up meat? You may cut your hand off. That was his joke of saying, one thing at a time. That's how we are as a people, you know. Hold on, buddy. One thing at a time. So this simultaneous kind of like multitasking thing, which is for new people. See, the young people, those who are not from Jurassic Park, they can chew gum and walk. They can, and I don't advise this, they can drive car and use the telephone. They can sing while they're driving a car. They can turn on the radio while they're driving a car. They can do more than one thing. Our mentality has been, in the old school, one thing at a time, boy. Take your time, one thing at a time. You can't chew gum and walk. And that has stayed in some people's head, that we can do a comprehensive approach to the immigration problem and do it all with one scoop. We can do it, you know. But the fellas who are out front, who are the ones in the driver's seat, they are a part of the team of Jurassic Park. You understand? They're dinosaurs in many regards with their thinking and their approach to things. Dinosaurs. Jurassic. Now, having said that, I want to share something with you before I call it a day. I told you that everybody is cracking down except the Bahamas. We're all cracking down. All the worlds are cracking down this immigration thing. Let me give you some latest information here. I gave this to you last week. Let me tell you what is happening now. The governments of the UK, Australia, they all face this problem with illegal enemies within their state. They have a problem with it. Too many things have happened. The man who is now running things in the UK, in Britain, his name, of course, is David Cameron. He just was elected and he's the prime minister now. He's rolling things out and he's on a mission. His first ambition was to deal with this vexing problem of illegal migration into his territory and the fact that they're making all this money and they're doing some things. So you know what he did? He's forecasted from last week, and I have this from the Bahamas, from the Wall Street Journal that I shared with my audience last week, and I'll share with you again. Because today was the day that he made the implementation, he made the speech, and made sure that people understand where he's coming from. So here's what he did. He says, now look, the UK's Cameron announcing legislation on illegal immigrants. Okay? And the immigration bill will be included in new government legislative agenda. Here's what David Cameron is saying. He says UK Prime Minister David Cameron has now announced plans for a fresh crackdown on illegal immigrants, including new legislation to allow, listen to this, including new legislation to allow police to seize the wages of foreigners who are working in the country after entering illegally, or foreigners who have overstayed their visas. You know what he's doing? He's cracking down. He says, police seize their wages. This report says in his first speech on immigration since being elected earlier this month for a second term in office, Mr. Cameron also announced plans for measures to give authorities powers to evict. I want you to hear this. To evict illegal migrants from rented accommodations more quickly, extend a policy of deporting migrants before they can appeal, and satellite tracking of foreign criminals awaiting deportation. This is what he said today in the Parliament, Serious measures. The measures are to be included in a new immigration bill that is now part of the new legislative agenda the government plans to introduce, and they introduced it today. Mr. Cameron, as you know, now controls a majority government, whereas before the last 5 years he was in a coalition government, so he couldn't really do a lot of things. The centrist Liberal Democrats was a part of that coalition government. Under existing legislation before today, under the laws, well, it's still existing now because he's just making the speech today, but the existing legislation allows for migrants with leave to remain in the country who are working illegally and are liable to a custodial sentence, a fine, or both. But those who have entered the country illegally or have overstayed their visas are not subject to the same conditions. And today, Mr. Cameron made it very clear. He says, so we'll take a radical step. We'll make illegals working a criminal, we'll make illegal working a criminal offense in its own right. Don't we need to do that here in the Bahamas? That would be a criminal offense to work without a permission in this country. That means wages paid to illegal migrants will be seized as proceeds of crime. Serious stuff. So let's say Nathan is working for me. I'm an illegal. Nathan is working for me. He's an illegal. I got a salary to pay him. The new legislation in the UK will allow for them to come take that money from me, what is supposed to be his wages, and take it as proceeds of crime because he is illegal and he's not supposed to be working. Could you imagine that in the Bahamas? And David Cameron says that, look, businesses should make it a point now to know that workers' visas expire, that when they expire, and if you are so involved in illegal working, employers and employee will be breaking the law, and they will feel the full brunt of the law. You see, just like in the Bahamas, in Britain, immigration has been a source of vocal debate since the net migration soared. Just escalated in the last decades after the UK had relaxed certain conditions for Eastern European countries. They just, fallen down the job, say, well, leave these people alone. We feel compassionate, just like we do in the Bahamas. And the people poured into their territory to the point where in 1 decade, 10 years, they say, Now, they got it to a tune of 300,000 people in 1 decade. That's the big place. The Bahamas has a preponderance of problems for the last 8 decades of illegals pouring in. Imagine that. And then someone can tell us our population is only 350,000. I say In a year in the UK, you're looking between the numbers show in the United Kingdom, the number of people coming into the country soared to nearly 300,000 in a year, in the year ending last September. 300,000 in a year. And you all don't understand how serious this problem is. Because we ain't got no record keeping, because we don't know who here, we figure only a couple come. You have no idea. We are the UK of this part of the world. They come in here. This is where prosperity is. This is where the laws have been relaxed. That's why they're here. When you see the Department of Immigration picking up, let me tell you something. I got the list last week. Peruvians, Jamaicans, Cambodians, Colombians, Brazilians, Venezuelans, Africans, every nationality you could think about on that list. Didn't I read it for you last week? This is the new Washington. If you want to see immigrant illegal, go to Washington. Everyone from every part of Africa in Washington. They got a discotheque in Washington called Mount Kilimanjaro. You know, it's a huge place. The whole plenty Africans dancing. You have no idea because they come in stealth. They don't announce when they're coming in. So how you gonna have an idea? So the UK has got problems, but Mr. Cameron is on the mission and he's doing some things. He is going to make sure that even the monies they make is going to be seized because they're illegally working. They ain't business there. And he makes no apology for it. The same thing is happening in Australia, which is a little bit of a different case. Australia got so much illegals down there, way down under, that the groups, the Islamic terrorist groups like ISIS and them, they're penetrating that area and looking for people who don't feel like they have a stake in the land. You know, like immigrants who were born of parents who, they just say, man, we need to bring y'all under our wings to give you all a reason to be around because these fellas are meaning to y'all. And the people are filing to join up. Now let's come all the way from down under back to the Bahamas. Do we have any people among us who feel like they don't have a stake in the land? Do we have any threats of terrorist groups like ISIS or any other that has been fooling around with our websites? Do we? Can we easily be penetrated in the Bahamas by sky and by water? Do we have people there who feel that they don't have a stake and they want to have their own country in this country? Well, this is prime, rich ground, fertile ground for terrorist groups like ISIS, and that's why America is concerned. I say no more on that for today, but I tell you, this is serious stuff when you look at it. So everybody else is cracking down, but we are still fooling around. You know what Australia says? Australia says, look, the government of Australia wishes to adopt the British legal model by revoking the citizenship of extremists who are in Australia, who are Australian-born children of immigrants, or are immigrants themselves. That's what they're going to do. They're going to adopt the British way of dealing with this stuff. And they are going to do what? They are revoking the citizenship. We in the Bahamas don't know about revoking citizenship. We figure once you give them citizenship, that ain't true. And I told you last week that why this is important is because Australia, the UK, and the Bahamas all have something in common. You know what that common thread is? They are all Commonwealth nations. If they could do it, we could do it. But they got the courage to do it. Our trouble is we don't got the courage to do it. And they are what? Industrialized, developing countries where people say, oh, they're civilized. But we are afraid, as a friend of mine told me, that we are afraid that people would think that we are a bunch of savages. We don't want anybody to think that we're savages by doing something that seems to be uncivilized. Well, what do you call David Cameron? Is he a savage? Because he is doing exactly what the Bahamas should be doing. Only he has courage and a mandate, just like Christie. He's got majority. He ain't got no coalition government. I mean, you know, I only giving you facts. You don't have to like it, but argue against it if you can. Now, they're not the only ones who are cracking down. America is cracking down. The great America, land of the free, home of the brave. There are thousands of illegal foreigners in America, and they are among many undocumented immigrants angry at renewed efforts in Congress to deny citizenship to U.S.-born children unless one parent is a citizen, a permanent resident, or serving in the military. I want Bahamians to hear this too, because some of y'all want to go to America to have babies so they can be a U.S. citizen. Listen to what they're doing. In late April, just last month, Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives held a hearing on legislation filed by Republican Steve King of Iowa, aimed at ending birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants. Birth legislation emerges regularly, they say, in the Congress, even though such bills consistently fail to become law. Most lawmakers, though, believe any baby born in the United States, except children of foreign diplomats, is automatically a U.S. citizen. You can see how America ran into problems, right? You only got to get there, half pregnant or not, born that baby, that's the baby's American citizen. That's their law. See, and this is saying here that most lawmakers believe any baby born in the United States, except children of foreign diplomats, is automatically a U.S. citizen. Some Bahamians believe that too. The latest push for birthright legislation came after federal agents. Here again, intelligence allows the Americans to make some changes and propose changes in their House of Representatives because of something. Intelligence reports. Listen to this. The last push for birthright legislation came after federal agents raided locations on the West Coast, California, that helped pregnant Chinese tourists to travel to the United States to give birth to babies in USA so they could become U.S. citizens. You see that? Anchor baby. That's what people are doing. So now America even is cracking down, because I will tell you, this bill filed by Steve King of Iowa, he's a Republican, is aimed at ending birthright citizenship for children of undocumented immigrants. Because some of them come, they just come to have the baby. The population grows, there are all kinds of people. And this is a very important piece of legislation. I'll tell you why. Because those terrorist groups are doing all kinds of things too. They know the weaknesses of the system. So America has got to buckle up, and they are. We'll see. UK is buckling up. Australia is buckling up. The United States is buckling up. The Bahamas is buckling. You tell me. And so I give that to you today to chew on tonight, to think about for tomorrow, and to make tomorrow a brighter day in our country, because we're trying to build the Bahamas. Building the Bahamas is a tough job. It requires patience, and it requires tolerance. It also requires honesty and truth. And it requires a determined people through their government to deliver for the people exactly what the people want. Not what they want, but what the people want. And I dare say, the people want a better tomorrow. I've got lots of text messages, but I'm going to put them on the Facebook page. You can go to Hard Copy. You can read them tonight. I thank you very much for your participation in your text messages and your calls today, because we need to come together on this matter. We need to finally arrest the problems of this country. And we need to think very deeply about, can we reverse our reality? of overwhelming illegals from the Republic of Haiti? If so, how so? Do we have what it takes? Are we prepared to admit that the illegal migration problem is symptomatic of a deeper cause which remains lost upon the general population of this country? Are we prepared to check the facts of history and tell the honest truth about how we really got into this mess? Are we prepared to table in the House of Assembly the real honest evidence to stop the steady flow of illegals into the Bahamas and fix the madness of native Bahamians being outnumbered in the Bahamas? Since this has been our reality for the past 7 or 8 decades, it is safe and fair to say that foreign nationals, non-Bahamians, are outnumbering the Bahamians. What are the steps being taken to reverse this reality? Do we have the ability to solve this problem? Do we have the courage? Think on those things till we talk again tomorrow. Good night from Hard Copy. Nathan, let's go home. Hard Copy has been a presentation of Bank of the Bahamas, BTC Every Day, Super Value, the All Bahamian Supermarkets, the McKinney Media Group, Island Made Products, Ministry of Tourism, Department of Labor, Advantage Insurance and Brokers, Super Wash, Ron's Electric, Sky Bahamas, Seafowl, Executive Printers, Henry F. Store, The Light People on Mackey Street, and the Blue Ultra Pure Drinking Water. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing, on Hard Copy. Good night.
This is Peace Radio After Dark.